great to be able to walk right downstairs and to be here and for you all to have things set up for you and it to be smooth. That's kind of the name of the game around here. This new facility has made everything so much smoother for us. Was at that wrestling match. I thought Roger did a great job. That was my first wrestling match. I will go back to another one. But I thought Roger did a great job and his guys did a great job of starting it off on the right foot and starting it off strong. Look forward to watching the men's game on Friday night, and then we open on Saturday. And the excitement has been building, and then we in our program talk a lot about the process, and this is just the next step in that process of being a little bit more comfortable on our home floor, being a little more comfortable with each other, being a little more comfortable under the bright lights when the pressure's a little bit higher. But I'm really, really happy with where we are. All summer and in the fall, there was a lot of individual workouts that were geared toward the offense. And when we got our team together on October 3rd, we started the defensive side of the ball. So right now I think our offense is a little bit further along than our defense is, and I'm okay with that as long as we continue to grow our defense. But I've been very pleased with the leadership of our upperclassmen, really taking these freshmen under their wing since June 11th when they showed up, but specifically the last couple of weeks and through the exhibition operation of how do we prepare for a scout, how do we do game day, how does this work. I thought they've done a great job. And I've also got to give credit to the freshmen for really being sponges and absorbing all of the direction and the leadership and wanting to please and meet expectations. So I'm really very happy with all 12 kids, and we're excited to get things started on Saturday.
Got any rotation going, or how far away are you from that?
I wanted to play everybody and play everybody a good amount on Thursday against Bemidji State. So at that time, really, we hadn't had a set rotation, and we're still working out some of those kinks. But as we prepare on Thursday and Friday, I expect to be much more comfortable with that, obviously barring foul trouble and those things that we can't always control. But we're definitely getting closer there.
You brought in a huge freshman class. How difficult has that been to kind of assimilate, or is it some advantages to it?
I see more advantages, and I see it's much smoother than maybe the outside sees. Probably because of our veterans and our leaders. Literally on day one, there was a veteran welcoming a freshman at their car, opening the door, helping them up the stairs, getting them to the grocery store. So it's really been since day one that they've blended together and they've meshed well together off the court, which makes it much easier on the court. Some freshmen are a little bit more confident than others, but I think that's true of any athlete at any level. But it hasn't been hard. It's been very easy, and it's been very refreshing for me to see both sides really reaching out to each other to help each other along.
As reaching out, is that something that you enforced, or is this these veterans tired of having a tough season, ready to turn it around, that they recognize what it takes?
Definitely both. In changing a culture, somebody has to be the example. And for a while, I was the example and our staff was the example. And now these veterans have seen that example and, maybe they haven't said it quite like that to me, but, they're certainly feeling part of that and wanting to have a different, more positive experience on and off the court collectively. And so I give them a lot of credit for seeing the example, but then wanting to emulate the example. Now they're the example, and the freshmen are just eating it up.
Expectations for Sarah this year, or what?
I really want her to worry about her and tune out the other noise that comes along with maybe who she is or her last name or where she grew up. I have high expectations for her, expectations to compete, to, when appropriate, run her team, to communicate, to take the shots that we work on in practice. I understand some days she'll exceed those expectations, and I think she and I both understand there'll be days that meeting those expectations are challenging. That doesn't make her any different than any other freshman, but I know that she's willing and wanting to take on those challenges.
Starting then, or were you?
She will start on Saturday, yes.
Since Taylor's been here, she's been good offensively. It seemed like in the exhibition game she had a very aggressive mindset. What advantage does that create for her? How important is that to her game?
She understands what her strengths have been, and we've had conversation about how opponents are going to continue to limit those and how we have to expand her game and look for other opportunities. We've talked a lot about playing with 2 point guards on the floor this year, and she has really blossomed in that and understands how that's really helpful and beneficial for our team, but also takes some pressure off of her. Specifically looking for her to run in transition more with other folks bringing the ball up, also using her pull-up more. Those are what we're talking about specifically. There are different things in matchup situations that we'll be able to exploit, but trying to help her understand and be very confident in other aspects of her game. If she can make 83 threes, I'll be excited for that as well, but there has to be more to her game. And she understands that, and she's working on it.
How nice is it just to have some more numbers this year? There's games last year you're playing with 5 people, you get to overtime, you only have 5 people in overtime. How nice is it just to have numbers that match up different ways with other teams?
I think there's a handful of advantages of having more depth is what you're referring to. And it starts in practice with the competition that happens in practice. I think everybody sits a little bit straighter, works a little bit harder, pays a little bit more close attention to the details because there is somebody who is pushing your spot and pushing the envelope. So it starts in practice, but then also carries over to games, and we'll definitely see that with different defensive styles thrown at us, different offensive styles that we have to defend, and having different size, quickness players, especially on the perimeter that can do different things. It'll be fun for us. We'll be able to be more versatile and be able to play in more than one way, which we'll still play fast, we'll still get up and down, but we'll have a little bit more variety, which from my perspective as a coach, opens the playbook, opens options, opens possibilities, allows us to really focus on a deficiency that they might have defensively that we can take advantage of now.
You touched on it there a little bit, but how does it really help you in practice, being able to practice with more players?
We are the luxury of having a practice squad. Essentially, we go every day against the Gray Squad, which are college men, athletes, non-athletes. They're just willing to give us their time and their speed and their strength. They're often the unsung heroes because they often have to play, 60 or 70 minutes of defense. They don't get a whole lot of offensive reps. But being able to go against the stronger, taller, quicker players, as well as when they aren't successful, we can pull our players off. We can coach them. Somebody else is going in. There's somebody for another freshman to watch and to emulate and to see the growth and the progress. So we don't often go against each other. We usually have practice guys to go against, but the competition of somebody is doing it quicker, somebody is doing it better, somebody has picked up on the nuances. I need to do that as well. Serves as a little bit of an external motivation, I think.
Breanna Jones, what do you expect? What type of progression would you like to see from last year to her senior year?
I would like to see Bree be a little bit more consistent than she was last year. I think at times last year she would tell you that she kind of deferred, she took a step back, she didn't want to step on people's toes, things like that. And then we would have a good conversation and she'd come out very strong in the next game. And so that's where I'm asking and hoping she can give us a little bit more consistency. I'm very optimistic in that, as over the summer she really embraced the weight room. She attacked, she's one of the stronger players in the weight room that we have. And we've seen that from day one in practice, going against these guys, that she's dictating and she's being able to move them around like she didn't do consistently last year. I'd also like to see her be more of an offensive threat, and those are things that we have talked about, and she's very comfortable with it. I think she hangs her hat on her defense and being able to rebound, but asking her to not play outside of her box, do what she does, but do what she does more consistently.
So in the cycles of recruiting where people, you almost got to be a junior now in high school, is this more your team, your philosophy, your style?
From the recruiting? I think when you look at our roster, the majority of the team I have recruited, but I give a lot of credit to Hannah and to Taylor and to Emily, who were the other 3 players left who were recruited by a different staff and a different vision and a different way of style of play. And all 3 in their own ways have worked very hard to maybe change their mentality or change what they thought their college career was going to look like, to meet where I want to go and the pace that I want to play at and the standards that I want our team and our program to have. So yes, I guess to answer the question, the recruiting is a big part of it, but the players who I did not recruit have done a fantastic job of buying in and wanting to be a part, regardless of who recruited them.
Didn't take, you've had a tough road. You took over a program kind of in a tough spot. You've had to deal with some of the transitions and growing pains have taken over. You've had coaching turnovers. You've had players. I mean, does it get easier this year? And how do you handle the pressure of being an NDSU athletic program and the expectations that come with this area?
The expectations, I think, are part of what drew me here. I like to think of myself as being above board and to wanting to provide a fantastic experience for the people that I'm with. So the expectation to be successful here and to win, that's why we're here. So that I'm perfectly comfortable with that. Some of the challenges of being a first or a second year head coach and coming into a new team and some of the turnover that you mentioned, you don't really know, or at least I didn't really know how hard it was, because it's what you do. You get up and you're challenged with every day making the most of this day and how can we get a little bit better, and so you just keep going. And it's not until you move into a new facility and your squad doubles overnight and things like that you're like, oh, okay, this is exciting. And that's where I'm talking about the smoothness of some of the things that happen. But I'm very grateful for the experience that I've had these last 2 years. It's cliche to say, but I've handled some things differently moving forward because of previous experiences. And I think you have to go through those learning curves, and that's personally, that's as a team, that's with your captains, that's with your freshmen, that's with administration. You have to go through that, and as long as we are continuing to reevaluate and get better and make the most out of it, tomorrow's always sunny. I'm excited.
We talk a lot about Sarah and Riley being the freshmen just because they're around here and we've seen them kind of grow up. Tyra Spencer looked good on Thursday night. What kind of impact can she make for you?
Tyra is one of the quicker players that I think NDSU's had recently, not ever, but recently, and certainly the fastest player that's been on that I've been around. The first couple of practices, 5-on-5 and whatnot, I remembered how fast we could play when Caleb Becken and Brooke Lamar were running around in the backcourt together. And so I certainly see a little bit of that, and I'm excited about that. Tyra hangs her hat on her defense, and she will be the first to say that, offensively sometimes, she second guesses herself. And so from that perspective, I want to put her in defensive situations. I want to feed what she's confident in. And so if that's defending full court, if that's picking up the best offensive perimeter player, like those are things that she wants to do. And so I've been very happy with her and how she's kind of soaked that in and wanted more, Offensively, I'm very pleased with her. I think she's harder on herself than we are on her. But she's a bright spot and someone who will be able to help us not only play fast, but have interchangeable point guards and be able to have more than one leader on the floor at one time. I thought she's done a great job in practice, and y'all saw a little bit, on Thursday, and looking forward to her continued progress.